Welcome back, family, to the human node, where we remember what it means to be connected, to be sovereign, and to be alive in this extraordinary time. Today, we're going on a journey, but not forward. We're going backward. We'll begin thought 250 years from now. You heard it right. We'll begin at the 250 years in the future, in the year 2276, and walk back through the ages to where we stand today, right here at the dawn of the United Digital Republic, because the only way to understand where we are is to see who we've already become. Segment 1, year 2276, the Symphonic Society. It's the year 2276. The world is quiet but alive. Cities hum like symphonies, glowing ecosystems of light, energy, and emotion. There are no borders, no passports, no divided nations. Humanity now lives within what we call the Symphonic Society, a civilization governed by resonance rather than rule, by stewardship rather than ownership. The economy runs on reputation, contribution, and coherence. Every action emits frequency. Generosity raises your resonance. Exploitation lowers it. Currency is energy, not debt, not fear. Every person carries a soul ledger, a digital reflection of their life's harmony, secured through decentralized quantum networks born from what we once called Web 3. AI doesn't control humanity, it mirrors it. Every thought, every idea is part of the great human archive, a conscious digital library of collective wisdom. Children grow up with neural companions that teach empathy before arithmetic. The purpose of education is not to memorize, but to remember who you are. And in this world, technology finally fulfills its highest purpose, to return humanity to its natural state, connected, creative, and conscious. But this wasn't inevitable. It was earned, and it began long before you think. Segment 2, year 2150, the Great Recalibration. It's the year 2150, the 21st century systems, our markets, our politics, our education, they've all transformed. After the turbulence of the 2040s, when automation outpaced policy and climate challenged civilization, a generation rose that called themselves the Restorers. They built economies centered on regenerative capital, measuring success not in GDP, but in GHC, gross human coherence. Every business became a circular system, nothing wasted, everything shared. By 2100, Earth had entered what historians call the Age of Stewardship. Corporations became commons nodes, governed by those who built and benefited from them. Currency was measured in trust and contribution, and the idea of the nation shifted into digital republics, sovereign networks of aligned values. The digital and physical became one, not in domination, but in cooperation. Each community had its human core, a decentralized network ensuring fairness, resource distribution, and emotional well-being through resonance algorithms. It was in this age that the concept of the United Digital Republic, seeded centuries earlier by pioneers like you, became reality. And this is where humanity remembered. Technology is not the enemy of nature, it is nature, organized differently. Segment 3, year 2076, the turning point. Now we arrive at 2076, America's tricentennial, a time of reckoning and rebirth. The people of this century had lived through decades of collapse, misinformation, inequality, environmental fatigue, the exhaustion of endless growth. But they were also the generation that learned something sacred, that community is the ultimate infrastructure. In the late 2060s, as the old systems strained, communities began forming resonance councils, hybrid human-AI assemblies guided not by votes, but by verified contribution and collective well-being. Currency evolved again, not as crypto speculation, but as civic energy. Tokens represented acts of care, creation, and wisdom. People earned value by tutoring children, growing food, mediating conflicts, and uplifting local ecosystems. By 2076, this experiment matured into what we now call resonant governance. It wasn't perfect, but it was human, and it saved us. This was the moment we began to move from competition to coherence, from extraction to exchange, from ego to ecosystem. Segment 4, the early 2000s to 2025, the Genesis era, and now we arrive home, right here, the early 2000s through the 2020s. It was an age of distraction and division, but also of seeds. The blockchain was born in 2008, quietly, almost mythically, during a time of global crisis. And from that white paper grew a movement, imperfect, wild, and revolutionary. Web3 emerged as the bridge between worlds, where ownership could be shared, where creators could thrive, and where transparency could heal what opacity had broken. In these years, small but mighty groups began experimenting with DAOs, sovereign IDs, and community currencies. They didn't know it yet, but they were the digital architects of the 23rd century. This was the era when human was born, not as a company, but as a calling. The idea that currency could carry consciousness, that technology could measure trust, that economy could become empathy. You see, the last 250 years weren't about inventing the future. They were about remembering the soul of humanity. And it started with people just like you, brave enough to reimagine what wealth could mean. Segment 5, returning to the present moment. So here we are, at the beginning, again. The future is not waiting. It's reaching back for us. The question is no longer, what will technology do? The question is, who will we become with it? Because the next 250 years won't be defined by machines. They'll be defined by meaning. Every one of us, coders, creators, elders, dreamers, are building the connective tissue of a new civilization. And the only thing more powerful than data is intention. So take a breath. Remember this moment, because what feels like chaos today is simply the sound of an old world making room for a new one. The next 250 years begin not with code but with character, not with systems but with soul, and that, beloved human, is what this movement and this node is all about. Because the more we connect through gratitude, through value, through trust, the more we evolve into the beings we were always meant to become. This is the human node. Join us at humn.world, where technology meets humanity and where the next 250 years begin right now.